The assassination of American President John F. Kennedy occurred while he was traveling in his highly secured motorcade through downtown Dallas. At that moment, he was accompanied by Secret Service agents and a complete police escort. Not only that, but the FBI had been monitoring the entire route for several days beforehand. Despite all these precautions, on November 22, 1963, he was attacked near Dealey Plaza and killed on the spot. Just minutes after the attack, the CIA, FBI, Secret Service, and police scrambled into action. However, despite their efforts, they could only bring a single shooter named Lee Oswald within the bounds of the law, or maybe they didn't want to catch anyone else. Was this a premeditated conspiracy, or did a lone shooter manage to outsmart the world's top secret agencies and shoot the most famous president from just a few meters away? This official story didn't sit well with anyone. There was a straightforward and fast route from the airport to the banquet venue, but why was the motorcade brought through the middle of the city? And who planned this route? Officially, the person who shot him was considered a coincidence, or was it part of a plan? The truth is, just a month earlier, Oswald got a job at the book depository with just a phone call. But how? In the video footage of the shooting scene, a girl wearing a scarf was seen taking photographs of the murder. Why has she never been found? And what was her connection to all this? What is up, guys? Welcome to Learning and Exploring. Exactly 60 years ago, on this very day, American President John F. Kennedy was assassinated in an attack on his motorcade. President JFK's death not only shocked millions of Americans but also left many questions unanswered during the investigation. It is believed that the U.S. top secret agencies hid a lot about the assassination and did not reveal the truth to the public, and there are many reasons to believe this. The first reason is the selection of the venue where the president was actually supposed to go. President JFK was supposed to deliver a political speech in the Texas city of Dallas, for which two options were provided. One was the Trade Mart, and the other was the Women's Building. The White House recommended selecting the Women's Building as the venue, but Texas Governor John Connally wanted the president to go to the Trade Mart. The reason for this was that the Trade Mart was a banquet hall, while the interior of the Women's Building was not suitable for a presidential visit. Finally, on November 14th, just 8 days before the assassination, the Trade Mart was selected as the venue, but this news was not made public. Now it was time to decide how to get from Love Field Airport, where the president's plane was to land, to the Trade Mart. Normally, presidential motorcades are routed through paths with minimal obstructions or turns. There was indeed such a route that bypassed the city and could have taken the president directly to the Trade Mart, but it wasn't selected. Instead, a route was chosen that passed through the city center, right next to the school book depository, where the shooter carried out the attack on the president. If you think this route was specifically planned for the assassination, you'd be wrong. Yes, it was done at the president's own request because he wanted to pass through the crowds. But if the Women's Building had been selected as the venue instead of the Trade Mart, then the motorcade would have traveled east along the main road. This would have increased the distance from the book depository, making it more difficult for the shooter to aim, and the president's wife, First Lady Jacqueline, who always sat on his left side, would have come between the shooter and the president. The bottom line is that selecting the Trade Mart as the venue was crucial in planning the assassination. As you've learned, this selection was made by Texas Governor John Connally. His intentions can't be doubted, as he and his wife were sitting in the presidential limousine when the attack occurred, and he was also shot but survived. Additionally, Governor Connally was originally against the chosen route, wanting the president to take the outer route to the Trade Mart. But someone had been calculating all of this long before. The president's motorcade and the venue were made public only 4 days before the assassination. Until then, no one knew this information. But something happened at the school book depository 2 months earlier, indicating that someone already had this information. Yes, exactly 2 months earlier, there was a sudden staff shortage at the book depository. In September 1963, a man named Wesley Frazier received a call from an employment agency offering him a job at the book depository. Wesley Frazier lived in a town called Irving, about half an hour away. He arrived at the book depository the next day, September 13th, and was hired on the spot by Superintendent Roy Truly. A month later, on October 15th, Wesley's neighbor also approached the superintendent over the phone, and coincidentally, he was hired the next day. Wesley's neighbor was none other than Lee Oswald, who would be arrested 39 days later for President JFK's murder. Due to not having a driver's license, Oswald couldn't commute daily, so he rented a room in Dallas. He spent weekends in Irving with Wesley after office hours and returned to the book depository with him on Monday mornings. This routine continued for about a month, but just one day before the assassination, on November 21st, this routine was broken. On Thursday, November 21st, Oswald went home to Irving with Wesley, saying he would stay in Dallas for the weekend. The next morning, Friday, when Oswald left home to go to the office with Wesley, he was carrying a long paper bag. Oswald claimed it contained curtain rods that he was going to install in his room. Just half an hour before the assassination, Oswald was on the 6th floor of the book depository with some colleagues. It was lunchtime at 12 p.m., so everyone went down to the 1st floor for lunch, but Oswald remained alone on the 6th floor. A crowd had gathered outside the depository to watch the president's motorcade. A few depository employees were also busy watching the scene from the 5th floor windows. At exactly 12:30 p.m., the president's motorcade arrived, with the president sitting on the right side of the car and the First Lady on his left. Governor Connally and his wife were seated in the front. As soon as the presidential limousine took a left turn past the book depository, the entire area was filled with the sound of the first gunshot. Coincidentally, a reporter was recording the entire scene on his camera. Some people claimed that 2 shots were fired, while others heard 3, but one bullet hit the president in the neck, and another struck his head. Without hesitation, the limousine's driver sped away from the location, but President John F. Kennedy may have already been dead. Some described the shooter as black, others as white, but a police officer in the motorcade saw someone firing from the 6th floor right after the first shot. Without wasting time, the officer rushed into the building, went up to the 6th floor, but found no one there. Within minutes, the entire building was sealed off by the police and FBI, and no one inside was allowed to leave. However, one person was missing among all the employees, and that was none other than Lee Oswald. Oswald had likely left the book depository immediately after the incident. He first went to his room, changed clothes, grabbed his pistol, and quickly left. The police, who were already searching for him, had alerted the entire city's patrol units. A patrolling officer spotted Oswald, but before he could do anything, Oswald fired 4 shots at the officer, killing him on the spot. Oswald then hid in a nearby movie theater. The police soon found him, arrested him, and took him to police headquarters. Over the next 2 days, the police, FBI, and CIA interrogated him extensively, but no recordings of these interrogations were made. There is no evidence of what happened behind closed doors. On November 24th, while Oswald was being transferred from police headquarters to jail, someone shot him in front of the media and police. Oswald died in the same hospital where President Kennedy had been taken. This was the story that was officially disclosed, but many witnesses claim that the person they saw on the 6th floor wasn't Oswald. Before he was shot, Oswald repeatedly told the media, "I'm innocent. Nobody has told me yet the first thing I heard about was a newspaper report in the hall. They asked me that question." If we analyze this whole story, according to the police, Lee Oswald cleverly and meticulously planned everything, secured a job at the book depository, and carried out this entire plan alone, evading the FBI, CIA, and police intelligence. However, people argue that if Oswald had planned everything so perfectly on his own, then why did he make so many mistakes in the end, such as fleeing the building, killing a police officer, further increasing suspicion on himself, or hiding in a movie theater? After President John F. Kennedy's assassination, several investigation reports were published, but each report only added to the confusion. After Oswald's death, A theory emerged that perhaps those who had planned the assassination had him killed too, because even if it was a conspiracy, it would have been impossible to execute without insiders. Many believed that the FBI and CIA were also involved in this conspiracy because Lee Oswald was a former U.S. Marine and the FBI had been closely monitoring him for the past 4 years.